Welcome to the Soul Energy Podcast with your guide, Sara Wong. In each episode, we'll be discussing the energy that affects us in all aspects of our lives, emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually, from the voice of the collective soul. We'll also explore the science of energy, the spiritual side of energy, and the healing power of energy. This is a place to get the tools and knowledge to help you create a life that thrives on energy. I'm so excited to have you here. Let's get started. Welcome to this episode all about the energy of rebirth. When we go through a rebirth, it often happens multiple times in our lives. It's where a new version of us is birthed into our reality. Something big usually happens to create a rebirth, an end to a relationship, a job, giving birth, getting married. Any type of big transition usually creates an energy of a rebirth. And with an energy of a rebirth, it's an opportunity to redefine exactly how we experience this reality, how we feel, what we do, and how we manifest and create new results. When we enter into a rebirth, our entire DNA changes, and it allows us to slowly integrate the new energy, allowing us to expand into a new form of consciousness. This could look like starting a new job. This could also look like being in a new relationship, around new people, around new energy. And that new energy activates our individual energy in a new way. Usually, this is also called quantum leaping. When we go through a rebirth, it's essentially a new life. Everything looks different, everything feels different, and overall we are different. We might be in a physically different location, or we might be exactly where we were. However, we just feel and see things differently. So when these opportunities come to have a rebirth, a part of our experience, it's really the universe's way of saying, hey, you want to hit restart? Let's go. And what do you want to start with? What energy do you want to lead with? What goals do you want to manifest? So it's an opportunity to let go of the complete old version of yourself, the old habits of yourself, the old ways, the old conversations. A lot of people, when they become spiritually awakened, they move out of this energy of talking about others, comparing, gossiping, or even holding others in a position of power, giving other people energy, thinking people are more better, superior, creates that competitive energy or lack of energy. When we move into consciousness, we really move into broader conversations, deeper conversations, truthful conversations. How are we doing? How are we living our lives? What is new? What are we building? What are we creating? And what are we expanding into? And oftentimes with consciousness, we can easily go back and forth because at one point in time, we only had consciousness of our ego, of our reality, of our awareness. And as we slowly expand our consciousness and have these rebirths moments, we start to see things a little bit differently. We start to crave things differently. That's why habits change. Some people will go from drinking almost every day to deciding it no longer serves them, or eating a certain way and deciding this no longer serves me. So now I'm going to do life this way. And with that, you might lose friends, you might release habits, and you might also experience a new way that feels way more aligned to what you really want in your life. So, rebirth is an opportunity to truly let go of everything. Now, some people say this is cutting off toxic energy and only aligning yourself to energy that feels resonant to you. Now, that could be true. You could definitely be cutting out relationships that no longer serve you because of the old habits, the old ways. What used to serve you might not fulfill you anymore. So it's not like you're cutting them out necessarily. You're really just choosing not to participate in that energy anymore because the energy you are now vibrating in, it just doesn't resonate where it used to. So, do you give yourself permission to really honor the times you go through a rebirth? Can you think of a time you physically went through a rebirth? And again, this can happen multiple times in our lifetime. And there's really no right way to have a rebirth. A rebirth really is an individual experience. And it really depends on the soul's journey of where they're at, what lessons they need to learn, and what you specifically are here to do. So, the rebirth are opportunities to get aligned to your soul's purpose, your soul goals, your soul desires, your soul relationships, and really answer all the energy you've been seeking and wanting to create, praying for, manifesting. These rebirths opportunities really help you bring those opportunities into your reality. So think of the last time you went through a rebirth. What did you experience? What did you let go? What friendships are no longer part of your life as much as they were before? What types of habits did you used to do? What type of patterns or belief systems did you let go or grow out of? When we go through a rebirth, it's usually we're growing out of something that no longer serves us. And again, it could be multiple things: how we live, how we see things, how we treat ourselves, how we treat others, friends, work, you name it. Everything all at once can go through a whole rebirth. Now, if you go through one of those moments where everything in your life is changing, and maybe it's not happening all at the same time, but within the same year or a couple of years, you're going to feel almost like you're not grounded and you might feel lost and confused because everything feels new. And what happens with that is oftentimes people can usually go back to old ways. They go back to old friends, they go back to old habits, and they go to in this energy of similar to like a planet retrograde. It's like, hold on, there's some lessons, there's some conversations I need to wrap up for closure, for validation, for, oftentimes permission to move forward. And so sometimes we feel like, "Oh, why am I going backwards?" And it's just to get that last confirmation, this energy just doesn't serve you. And what might be needed is a new way. I like to say businesses go through rebirth oftentimes the most because businesses will give themselves permission to evolve based on performance and how they're doing. Humans, we're more inclined to not necessarily give ourselves permission to go through a complete rebirth because so much change at one time can be overwhelming to our systems because we have our mental body, we have our physical body, we have our emotional body, we have our spiritual body, we have our astral body. We have basically 12 different energy bodies working with our energy fields at all times in so many different ways. So when we go through a rebirth, all those energies, all those DNAs, all those systems are being re-engineered, reactivated, reprogrammed. And in that, it's a lot of undoing. So you might feel messy. You might feel all over the place for a while. That's why some people, when you get laid off, you realize like, oh wow, my identity, it's completely, was with my job. Who am I now? And a lot of people go through that time because they put so much energy into their image, their corporate image, that they lost sight of themselves. So the universe will give people these moments in time to reflect, to rebirth, to reposition, to reevaluate, and allow yourself that time to integrate that new energy, those new ideas, and that new path to move forward. Now, one thing I think we should all remember in the rebirth process is that if we're going through a rebirth and the universe has created the rebirth for us, or we've chosen this for ourselves, that means you're ready to activate a new path. What is that new path going to be for you? This is a choose wisely time. This is not a time where you want to choose emotionally or choose out of fear. This is a time where you have to understand you're exactly where you need to be. You have everything you need at your fingertips. And all you need to do is really ask yourself the number one question: What is in your highest alignment? What are some key next steps? And what do you need to give yourself time to process? When you give yourself that space and energy, all the clarity you're seeking can come through. However, if you don't give yourself that space and you go into depression, anxiety, overwhelm, anything that requires you to not be present, then that energy is going to steal your attention. That could be social media, that could be friends, that could be family, that could be anything that is not necessarily allowing you to move forward. And sometimes we need to process stuff with others, and that could be very helpful. We just have to be mindful during these times of what do we really need and what do we need to align to each and every day as we move forward to really activate that new path, that new journey. When we go through a rebirth, the integration process can take up to 6 months before we feel any clarity, before we feel our groove. And then it could take all the way up until a year to fully integrate and allow ourselves to build a foundation that we continue to build on. So by no means is a rebirth a one activation process. It's a true integration, allowing ourselves to completely step into this energy of our old self and our new self. So there's usually a gap in this space. So usually it's your old self, you're used to leading the way, and then there's this potential, this new self. And when things start to open up, so it could be a new job, new relationship, new way of eating, new way of living, we have that open up. And remember, we're still integrating, we're building a relationship with this new energy. It takes about 6 months before we master it and really start to leverage it in big ways. So as you integrate, you have to really look at the gap between the old self and the new self. And that's what you're working on each and every day is letting go of the old ways and integrating the new ways. And again, that could take 6 months and usually takes about a year to fully integrate the new way. So with that, it's important to really focus each day on the gaps that you're experiencing and making actions, conscious actions to allow yourself to fully step into that new version and trust it, lead it. Now sometimes it's easier than others and sometimes it could take a while and you might go backwards a lot and that's okay because you're in your rebirth process. Be mindful, be aware. And by the way, when a rebirth process comes, you can activate the highest timeline connected to your soul's journey and soul purpose with pure alignment to your heart, trust, faith, love. When we stay in that energy, we continue to open our hearts to receive miracles, to receive blessings, to receive a higher consciousness so we can truly step into it. So remember, when we go through a rebirth process, it's so easy to go into our emotions and how we feel. So really just be mindful and love on yourself more. Surround yourself by love. Nurture yourself. Close your inner circle. Do not share your rebirth process with everybody. It's not for everybody. Because in fact, a lot of people will try to avoid a rebirth. What this could look like is they don't want to change. They stay exactly the same. They never change. And that's okay. That's exactly how they want to live their life. I know a lot of people like that. And it's okay. That's their journey. Their journey is to stay consistent and that's it. They just consistently want to be the same energy, that same vibration, have the same routines, the same habits, the same friends, the same outcomes. They are completely satisfied with that. And then there's the flip side. The souls that want to journey deep into their alignment, want to expand consciously, and will probably go through many rebirths. Some people call rebirth the journey of the dark night of the soul. It's the other side of the dark night of the soul. So a transition, a change happens. We go through what a lot of people call the dark night of the soul, where we get to illuminate the areas that need deep healing, the areas our soul is actually calling forward for us to pay attention to, the areas that we've neglected since childhood that are ready to be healed. And after we go through that deep process of healing, that rebirth happens and we become a new version of ourselves. So, absolutely, a spiritual awakening can definitely trigger a rebirth. If we do plant medicines, ayahuasca, shrooms, marijuana, any plant medicine that's consciously altering your mind will open up the energy of a rebirth and allow yourself to truly step into this opportunity to use your consciousness to lead yourself in a new way. So next time you go on in a rebirth journey, really be mindful of that gap, that old you and the new you. Really allowing yourself to let go of the old ways with discipline, with commitment, with trust, and really just allow yourself that space and time, giving yourself that love, knowing you are on this journey that never truly ends until we no longer exist here on earth as ourselves, as we are today. Because yes, your soul might reincarnate in many different ways on earth, but this version of you in this energy body, this physical body, surrounded by the physical bodies you're in this reality now, will never be the same. They might be a version of this, but not the same. So allow you as you to continue to step into your consciousness and expand into your true soul calling. And the more we can focus on that energy, letting go of the old, integrating the new that feels most aligned to where we're at in our journey, the more we can experience this expanded consciousness and really step into our power and our purpose in new ways. So with that, really allow your rebirth to guide you. It's here for a reason, and so are you. And with that, I'll see you next time. And that is this week's episode. What an honor to spend this time with you. Make sure you journal, reflect, and spend some time on this energy to see how certain topics that were covered apply to your reality and how you can move forward when that energy shows up next time. And for more services, products, content to support you on your spiritual journey, make sure to visit energyhauslb.com. That's energyhauslb.com. Also, make sure to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It is also appreciated. Stay in touch. Until next time.